a lot of people probably not going to be too happy about this chapter. Not that it was a bad chapter, but because of one of the characters specifically in it, that being Lobelia, who I feel like she's kind of like up there right now with a lot of fans of just disliking her because she's not a cool villain. She's not like, or even like Jin, where Jin's like, oh, cool, we don't know what he's going to be. Is he going to be a good guy, a bad guy, an anti-hero? Who knows? Whereas I feel like now it's exactly where I wanted her to be, because I didn't want her to turn evil. I didn't want her to turn good. I think a lot of people have speculated maybe she'll join the crew eventually. Who knows? One of the things, like the note, I'm wondering if this is just, it's going to happen later down the line, or maybe Hiroshima changed his mind. Out of all the characters that are on the Eden Zero big layout, picture when it first was shown with the cast, Lobelia was on it, but she had like either armored legs or robotic legs. So people are speculating if maybe, she'll get like either, again, robotic or armored legs and then become a fighter. I'm wondering if maybe Hiroshima just changed his mind. Because with this, I talked about in the last chapter, I don't want her to be good or evil. I want her purely to be a taunting rival for Rebecca. Not like bad, but literally just annoying. I want her to come out constantly like almost like a sitcom bully, where they're not really gonna do like evil. They're just gonna be like, their big master plan is just to annoy you. Because that's really what it came from this chapter. She's like, oh, hey, Rebecca, I'll trade you the information you want how to get to the labor district if, you'll do a favor for me. And then like, from this chapter, it made it seem way worse than it was. Like, she just had her cosplay and then do like a little line record it and then drop like, I don't know, slime, or I think she said like a smelly soup or something on top of her, and then some people saw and then like laughed at her. It honestly doesn't feel that bad, because it's not like you're in high school. You're gonna see these people every day and they're gonna make fun of you. I mean, she's just saved a bunch of people. Like, she just saved a whole bunch of potential, like, I don't even know if we'd call them slaves, because they were turned to stone on Gilst. So I feel like if this is the low point of so far of like her recent events, like I guess like she did get into some unfortunate close-ups with Iliga, but this is like the worst that she's got from Lobelia. She doesn't seem upset, and because like you look at her expressions in the chapter, and then you look at like Pino's very upset because someone's picking on her friend, but Rebecca's just like, ugh, this bitch, really? I guess I shouldn't have really been that surprised. And I'm just like, again, like, literally all she did, she showed up, she annoyed her, she pulled a prank, and then she left. She doesn't come off as evil. She just comes off, you'd be like, what a bitch. I mean, that's all she really seems to be. That's all Lobelia's character I'm hoping her to amount to. Maybe way later along the line, she could become good or evil. I don't know. I don't really care on that aspect. But until then, I'm hoping if Kurumashima goes one of those two routes for her, I'm hoping at least the transition into that is good and not dropped. Like the unfortunates of how well, like, Minerva was going in Fairy Tail, and then she kind of dropped off. I'm still a little salty on that, of how he handled that character. But Lobelia, either keep her where she's at, where she's just a bitch, or, dedicate her to one of these roles. As we are now, like, she's literally just existing as this pestering character. She has no other purpose in the series other than when she shows up, Rebecca's gonna get messed with. That's all I'm hoping she becomes. I mean, even like, the funny thing is, like, this chapter out of like, I don't know, 17 pages, like I think 14 or 15 of them was with Lobelia and Rebecca, and like, that's all I can really think of that entire area of the chapter. It's like, oh yeah, Lobelia's a bitch. That's it. That's all she gives off. But then like some dude who like talks about like how anime will save the universe was like, he was a fan of the character that Rebecca cosplayed as, and he actually can help her. So in the end, like, she got assistance anyway. So even if Lobelia, she just kind of like tricked her and screwed her over, in the end, what she did helped her. So it's like, you can't be that mad at her character. I get why people are going to dislike her. She's a bully. She's a dick. But she doesn't really do anything outrageous. She just pulls pranks. She's just, again, just a bitch. That's all she comes off as. But at least now Rebecca's going to go over and help the, the crew in the labor district. And there were some takeaways I got actually from this chapter, like even from like smaller portions, which I was way more interested in than Lobelia and Rebecca's uh interactions beyond what I was hoping, and that's literally just a bully. She's just a teaser. But like there was a comment of like Amora, she's tied up, just plain rope, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna use my ether gear to get out, but she can't. And this dude Garrett, he talks about how like ether gear works by reconfiguring the ether inside your body. We know that, we got that information early on in the series, but he talks about how like if you want to use your you want to be able to use it, you got to use your hands. And I think that that's not the correct full description, because like so far we've seen like your ether gear doesn't have to be from your hands, at least from what we saw. Like Justice, his is in his eye. I'm guessing it's like where your ether gear stems from. Like if you're inoperable of using that, then you probably can't use it like at all. Like, oh, it's in your legs, you either get like your legs bound or chopped off or something. Oh, maybe you can't use them. Same thing with anything. Like maybe if you covered up, I guess probably not covered up, you'd have to like put a big mask or something on Justice, some way to constrict them and to like hinder their abilities. Because it's not like magic. Magic in like fairy tale is like, oh, you have everyone that is a mage as magic or like curses, and then you have a special way to use the magic. Oh, I know this kind of magic. I know how to formulate it into this kind of an attack. Or Rave Master, where you either had like a miscellaneous power or a dark bring. Those were very dependent on whatever you had. Whereas with Ether Gear, like said, it takes the ether in your body, it moves it in different ways so you can use these powers. But if you can't, if you can't use this item, because it doesn't come off a lot of the time as like, again, like magic. It feels like an enchantment almost. You cut away the ability to use said enchantment. You can't use said powers from it, which is cool. Which makes sense, like, oh, EMP shuts off ether gear. Okay, you don't get the ether gear boost because, okay, now you can't use your ether in any way to enhance yourself. Makes sense. And like, a lot of what I could take out from this chapter is from like just that one statement, because that opens up a lot of questions. Like, okay, what happens if a character has ether gear, again, in their legs, or maybe it's in their shoulders, or their chest, or their eyes, like we know with Justice? It's just like a good question. Did I say eye twice? I don't know. It's just a good question, because it's a normal staple ability. It's like or not staple, it's a staple question, because, you have a power, certain characters are going to be able to use it. You want to know the extent of like, okay, what hinders it? What works? What doesn't work? How does this whole power work in terms of both pros and cons? Again, we'll find out going further down the ways. Like, we didn't find out everything about dragon slaying magic for a long time in Fairy Tail, but we did know the basics of it. We knew, like, motion sickness, enhanced senses, and we're still finding out a couple things about Ether Gear. Ether Gear is obviously, like, it seems to be very less common than, like, lost magic in Fairy Tail. I think that's kind of like I think that's the best kind of, like, description of it. Or, like, in Rave Master, if you have a power that doesn't stem from, like, a dark bring, or just raw magic, something like being a silver claimer, anything along those areas where you're like, okay, let me figure out how this works. Let me figure out what makes this power special. Ether Gear just seems kind of like in that same area, like, oh, you have an unknown power that's like not, again, magic or darkbring, or lost magic, or tech. Okay, no, cool, Ether Gear, fantastic. But then a lot of else what I had to take away from this is not just that small thing about the Ether Gear, which again, very curious about, but Shiki's comments. And like, the thing is, like, we don't know anything about Ziggy. We just know Ziggy was, a space pirate adventurer. He was called the Demon King, clearly very powerful, found and raised Shiki, commanded the Eden Zero ship. We know about, like, some of his exploits. We don't really know what he was like outside of, like, interactions with his crew. Because he could be one of those characters where, like, with Shiki and the 4 Starshines, he could have been like, oh, you guys are you're my crew, you're the best, love you guys, you're awesome. But then, like, enemies or just, like, non-friendly characters, he could have just been, like, a vicious dude. He could have really been a villain and just maybe treats his own crew good. Again, questionable. Like, he was titled the Demon King, so he has to be somewhat, like, malicious. And Shiki, because he became the captain of Eden Zero, got that title passed on to him. And it was kind of weird, because even though when we look at some characters, again, a really, like, the most easy example for this is Natsu, Fairy Tail main character, ends up being revealed as being this powerful demon, though outside of scenes where, that power is triggered, Natsu has always just been like his normal self. You know, he's got his own character development, progression, and whatnot throughout the series. But for the most part, he's still Natsu. The same way that you get a lot of characters, they'll still feel very similar. But with Shiki, I feel like Shiki having the title is going to segue his character into what he'll become. Because whereas Rave Master was like a hero's journey. Fairy Tail was more about like family and like, you know, struggling bonds through struggle. Whereas I guess like Eden Zero still has that normal bonds. I think it was way more emphasized in Fairy Tail than it was in Rave Master or Eden Zero, but it's still obviously a factor in both. But with Eden Zero, I feel like it's more going to be like a journey into the unknown. You know, a big deep dive into space and the mysteries they could hold. Because really, space is like the most unexplored like region that we can imagine. Because there's like, oh, the ocean and all the forest stuff, but you got to keep in mind like the size of space is absurd. But anyway, Shiki in his comments when he says like, you know, I'm not a hero fighting for justice. Like I don't need to follow rules. My friends are more important. Like he's not like again hero of justice. If you hurt his friends, like he's willing to become a demon king. And again, that's the gaps between like looking at the characters. Like I think the encounter with the Liga is a really good moment to really go off of, because you look at like again other main characters like Hiro Mishima. You look at Haru, you piss off Haru and like attack his friends. Like we get there's a lot of panels like, you know, Haru beating up enemies that, you know, hurt his buddies. I think a really good moment, maybe not like directly the same thing, but like a good example is after Burial showed up. Or is it Burial or Belial? I don't remember. He showed up after Haru's fight with Shiba, and Haru, the way that Haru responds to those kind of situations, he's very calm with his anger. He's much more like it's like the eye of the storm, because like he's you know, Haru, wind, like his dad Gale, you know, it's weird because he's he's themed wind and then spring, but then his element is light. I don't know, whatever, not a big deal. But with Natsu is again a raging fire. You heard his friends. He's furious. He's just an all around like endless inferno. Whereas Shiki is much more like is raw. It's like a raw bomb, because it just, or I guess not maybe a bomb. I guess I'd really call it like a laser, because like when he gets mad at something, it's like pinpoint. Like you put him on the field, you put, okay, this character hurt Haru's friends. Haru is going to be like, all right, I'm going to cut through each of you guys and I'm going to get to that guy. But, you know, I'm going to look for ways around it if I can, you know, look for the best route. Natsu would just be like, everybody in my way is getting destroyed. Like Shiki would be like, I see that guy. He would run along the wall or fly over, skip everybody he can if he had to. It would literally be either straight line or most optimal way of just, you know, diving right to it. If he has to go through opponents' direct line or go jump over them, fly, he'll do it. And we saw that with Iliga, like he was beating Iliga unconscious, but whereas like Haru and Natsu would stop at that point, maybe, you know, just kind of like go overboard. Shiki looked like he would just go until Iliga was dead, and not like I'll kill my opponents. More of just like I can't control myself. I'm so furious. Like that's the thing about his, because he's very him not growing up with people, he's socially awkward. He doesn't understand like you know, back and forth between people. He doesn't read people very well, and with that, Shiki just becomes, he just again very I don't want to say uncultured, that's the way that it is, but I mean like literally human culture of any kind. You know, obviously him growing up with robots, like he's very odd about boundaries. He's bad about like responding to situations. And with this, well, I'm going off on a rant, but like what I mean by all this is Shiki, I feel like Shiki will be like, again, one of these characters. Like he'll be like, if I have to become a bad guy to people who don't know me, then I will, in order to protect my friends. And this comment makes me think that like he'll do whatever he has to, including if it means like throughout the cosmos, Shiki will become feared and seen as this horrific person, and it will be like that. It's like, oh, if you're, you know, a threat to my friends, then I will be this villain. But otherwise, you know, you could be a cool dude, be a nice guy. And I just see that journey right now, at least as the current steps for Shiki, because Shiki seems like that dude. If it has to be, he'll do that. He'll go down that pathway. And it's not like with Rave Master, again, Haru and his friends were good guys. They were heroes on a journey. Fairy Tail, it's much more like they're out for their guild. They're good guys, but overall they're out for their guild. Shiki and the crew, they're they're still gonna do good things, but like overall, like again, like they aren't like Fairy Tail and the crew because they're willing to break laws, but they're not criminals. Like, but Shiki and crew are already branded as like pretty much criminals. Like Justice has already got his eyes set on him. He's got now the Eden Zero. He's heralding the title now of Demon King after Ziggy. He's gonna become, you know, a big time criminal. He'll probably be viewed as like on league with one of the Erasion States Galactica, if not titled one after, you know, his fight with Drac and Joe. Just guessing, probably somewhere along the line. Either take it from another member or earn it, become like an additional one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm very curious about this journey for Shiki because unlike the other two, it doesn't seem like it's in their characters. You know, you could do it writing wise, but it just doesn't seem possible in the way that they exist. Whereas Shiki, like, he's still new. He's still like becoming a person through his journeys. Like from this, like these are all like new to him. Like he's had like no adventures. These are his first friends. Like he doesn't know how to respond to a lot of situations. So going extreme for him just seems to be like the only option. And like he's just so unrestrained when it comes to some of these situations. Or I just feel like it's a matter of time until he kills somebody by mistake, not intentionally, not like I had to do it, just like he'll come to and be like, I don't know what happened, I just lost control. And then, you know, down that line of becoming a big criminal. We'll see. Again, very curious about this. I took away so much from this one panel, or I guess like it's a panel, a chapter, or a page and a half of Shiki's exploits. But we'll see. Again, I'm very intrigued by this. Other than that, drop a comment below on what you thought about this chapter. What do you think about this? I feel like this is going to be the line for Shiki, is Shiki will be that guy. And he'll be like, I'm a criminal. I'll be a criminal, a villain to all those opposed, you know, my friends. But to my friends and anybody that wants to be crews and buds will be buds. Just don't get on his bad side. I like Shiki. I feel like he would be the guy. Just be like, yeah, they're not they want to kill my friends, annihilate their whole fleet. Just be that vicious. I don't know. Again, there's so many curious times. But I just want that to happen now after discussing it. I'm hoping it does, but we'll see. Again, other than that, drop a comment below. I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, prefer the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.